My boyfriend's friends interrogated me about my career. I felt humiliated.
What do you make per hour? Tell us right now.
I need some help processing this. They made me question whether or not I'm actually authentic when it comes to what I'm interested in. I feel like I don't want to talk about my interests with anyone because I don't want to be pop quizzed. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Gulala, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, the person I'm dating, we've been together for 3 months, I'll call him Dan, recently invited me out to dinner to meet some of his coworkers. The first red flag was that he invited everyone out to a Hooters and said that they chose that restaurant because it's close to where they work and it's easy to get to.
Look, Hooters has good wings.
Oh, yeah?
But undeniably the worst restaurant you could pick to introduce your girlfriend to your friends for the first time.
Which, this is true, but there are several other restaurants nearby that offer better food and a better atmosphere. Before he invited me out to dinner, he half joked that his coworkers, all of them are male, didn't believe that he was dating a hot girl that's into the same hobbies as them. The hobbies that are considered to be primarily for men. I was a little irked at that comment, but he just said that he's just joking around. This pretty much became the catchphrase for the men that night. When everyone arrived at the restaurant, Dan and his coworkers were making comments about the girls that worked there and their physical appearances. This made me a little uncomfortable, but I didn't say anything. Once everyone ordered their food and drinks, his friends started to quiz me about my interests. Many of them shared the same male-dominated hobbies I'm interested in, and they more or less just tried to see if I knew facts about the hobby, as opposed to asking me questions about what I like or don't like, or what I'm currently doing in said hobby. For example, if my hobby was American history, one of them would ask an esoteric question like, "Oh, so you like American history? How many $1 bills are currently in circulation? How old is the French Broad River?" I also work as a junior automation engineer at a startup software company. I haven't been writing code that long, as I was working in QA prior and learned how to code while I was in that position. I'm really green and I still have a lot to learn. The projects I'm working on are small and I'm getting help at work. All of his friends are senior level software engineers and were quizzing me about my work and trying to see how much I actually know. They were asking about advanced things I did not know about and were asking me the technical questions that don't even apply to my job. But they were all smiling and laughing and would frequently say something like, "Oh, we're just kidding." At one point, I felt like I was at some weird interview and was taking one question at a time from each D-bag at the table. I know I stopped fake smiling at some point and just emotionlessly answered their questions. I think one of them became self-aware because he just looked down at his phone for the rest of the evening and didn't ask me anything else and just looked uncomfortable. I'd be interrupted if I tried to include my thoughts on the subject or nod at me and look away to someone else. I should mention that all of these guys were 5 to 10 years older than me. I'm 25 and the guy I'm dating is 29 and his coworkers are in their early to mid 30s. I don't have as much experience as they do. Part of me was hoping that I could meet peers who could have helped guide me or answer my questions about their careers, but instead one of them literally asked me to give an SQL query. They all kept saying that they were just kidding around or just joking and laughing about it, but it was so cringy. Dan was sitting beside me and wasn't stopping this behavior from his coworkers. He was coaching me, I guess, saying things like, "Oh, you know this one," or "Come on, you got this. We talked about this last week." Dan also made the comment of, "See, she's really smart too," to one of the guys at the table.
It's like you're turning into like a trading card. Check out the stats on this Pokemon that I caught.
Like, see? It has all this damage.
I told you she knows Thunderbolt. None of the guys believed me that you could do Thunderbolt, but I told them.
That whole night was just awful. He was actually irritated at me because he saw my whole mood change while I was being quizzed by his friends. He said that he noticed me having an attitude with his coworkers when they were just having fun and just trying to get to know me. That it was immature of me to have been so obviously annoyed that I audibly sighed multiple times when one of his friends spoke to me.
Okay, but we're not going to talk about how it's immature to not realize you're just bothering someone all night?
Yeah, like, come on. That's such a difficult position to be in and so annoying. I can't stop seeing Dan as a super cringy dude now. I thought he was acting ridiculous and seemed more like a 13-year-old boy as opposed to someone who is supposed to be turning 30 in a couple of months. I'm pretty sure I can't go on with a relationship at this point. I don't think this is an overreaction on my part if I were to break up with him. Is it within reason to end a relationship after this event? Everything was going fine before this happened, but now I just feel gross. The dinner happened last night and I haven't returned any of his texts today. I know ghosting is wrong, but I don't want to look at him or speak to him. The thought of him just kind of disgusts me at this point. I've never felt like someone's show poodle before. I don't know if I'll feel differently in a week or if I'm unjustified in my anger. And we do have an update, but I don't think she's unjustified at all. They're only 3 months into this relationship.
Like you said, it's like you were being showed off like a poodle or something. Like,
absolutely.
Weird. Part of it's understandable and like, I don't know, like, I just think you're really cool. And I'm excited for my friends to like know how cool you are. But that didn't feel like that's what that was. It was more like my friends didn't believe girls can be smart and cool. So I was excited to show you off to them my new possession.
Exactly. It's really just not putting himself in her shoes at all. And then accusing her of being rude and unjust in the situation when she's literally being like attacked this whole night.
And the implication was that he was like, it's fine if you were annoyed, but you audibly sighed. So you shouldn't have made it so obvious that you were annoyed, is really what he was saying.
Yeah, I think 3 months, you're still learning about each other. Like you don't know each other that well at all in 3 months in. This is definitely something that you've learned. How someone interacts with their friends is huge. So I think that's totally fine for you to be like, not for me, thanks, and move on.
Yeah, 100%.
But we do have an update. So after the post, I decided it would be best to end things through a phone call. I mentioned ghosting, but it's probably best that he knows how and why he effed up. I waited until Saturday to reach out to him and told him that we needed to talk. I'm paraphrasing here, but this is basically what the convo went like. I don't think I've ever felt so unwelcome in a group before. It felt like a crappy interview. All they did was test my knowledge. No one tried to get to know me, and when actual conversation was going on, I was ignored or interrupted if I tried to talk.
I don't feel like it was anything like that.
Okay, so how often do you guys sit around just asking questions like, quick, what is the SQL inquiry if you want to delete 2 rows from 2 different tables?
I don't know.
No, really, do you quiz your friends randomly like that at work or out and about?
No, not really.
And why not? Why don't you just ask lightning round quizzes like that? Because it's not what normal people do?
I don't know. They were just having fun joking around.
Well, it wasn't fun for me. I have male and female friends in all sorts of professions. I've never cornered any of them to test their knowledge. I trust that they know what they're doing. I ask them about work, what they're doing, normal questions. I'm not going to print out a CPA exam and quiz my accountant friend. Don't you think that would be a little effed up? Well, we talked a little bit more about that night, and I gave him more specific examples of what he and his friends did, and he never really had any good answers. It was a lot of, I don't know, and single word answers. I told him I created a Reddit post, and I would send it to him. He was a little pissed off that I did that, felt like I had no right to do so. At the end of the conversation, he asked if we were done. I told him, yeah, that I can't see a future with him. And then I saw a different side of him that night, and I don't want to be someone's prize poodle on display for the world to see. He didn't really say anything after that and just hung up the phone. I sent him the URL for my first post, and he texted me throughout the weekend, but I didn't respond. He read the post that I sent him and wasn't happy with it and said that he couldn't believe so many people were on my side and were hating on him. He sent a few more angry texts after that, like he couldn't believe that we were breaking up over something so stupid. He did send a few rounds of I'm sorries and let's try to work through this, but when I didn't respond, he just went back to angry texting me.
Dude, what's crazy to me is that there's so clearly a way that he could have gone about this to where the relationship would have been fine.
Yeah, like backing her up or something.
Yeah, like literally just maybe admitting like just any amount of like, yeah, you know what? That's on me. You've kind of opened my eyes to the fact that what I thought was maybe like cool, like fun, jokey time ribbing, like actually was just making you like really annoyed and kind of almost dehumanized you to my friends.
Like listening to how she feels, considering that instead of just accusing her of wrongdoing from just feeling how she feels. I know it would be very, very easy to say that. And you know what else would be super easy? Going to your favorite podcast app, whether that's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you choose, and searching OK Storytime. Because you know what you're going to find there, Dakota?
2,000 episodes of our podcast just waiting to be listened to.
Just waiting. Come on over. But there is a little bit more to the story. Let's see how it turns out. Also, I did find his friend who buried his head in his phone that night and sent him the Reddit link and asked that if it sounded like what happened. Dan's friend said that he knew what his friends were doing were wrong and felt bad for me. He apologized for not stepping in and assumed that Dan would eventually speak up for me on my behalf. He also apologized for joining them in the beginning and wished me luck in my career. Well, good. At least there's one good guy in that group. But what a shame for the rest. But that's the end of that story.
My girlfriend discovered I took one for the team. She got upset.
Are we playing for the other team now? Is that what we're talking about?
I want to figure out what team we're talking about. About 2 years ago, I was at a party with a friend of mine, Josh. Me and Josh were just vibing to the music and chilling when he suddenly spots 2 girls. The one he was interested in was this pretty blonde, while the other was her quote-unquote heavier friend. That's not to say her friend was unattractive, but just a little noticeably bigger than what would be considered average body weight. Anyway, Josh turned to me and urged me to be his wingman by taking one for the team and distracting her friend while he chatted with the blonde. After a little back and forth, I decided to just do it to be a good friend. By the way, this comes from user MasterHalf8275. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, we made our way over and made our move, where I would go in first and start chatting with the friend while Josh began flirting with the girl he was interested in. Again, this friend I was talking to was by no means unattractive, just a bit heavier than what most guys, myself included at the time, would go for. I thought she was very sweet, even though I was just talking to her out of obligation. It didn't really matter anyway, because ultimately the girl Josh was into already had a boyfriend apparently, and had seemingly brushed him off, with him eventually patting me on the back to signify I didn't have to chat with her friend anymore. So I decided to politely end the conversation. However, not before she asked for my Instagram, which I decided to give her. I didn't really think much of it at the time, and I was certain I would never see her again. However, a couple days later, I ran into the same girl in my school's campus store. I didn't really recognize her at first, but she seemed to know me immediately. We decided to chat for a bit, and I was reminded of her name, Megan. Not her real name, by the way. Anyways, it was really just small talk until Megan suddenly seemed a little awkward. I asked her if everything was all right, and she replied that nothing was wrong, but she wanted to know if I wanted to go out with her sometime. This actually came as a shock to me, as it was the first time a girl had ever made the first move and asked me out. So, even though she wasn't really my type at the time, I said yes. And that was probably the best decision of my life.
Aww.
Me and Megan really hit it off, and before long, we were in a serious relationship. Any qualms I had about her weight were gone immediately after the first time we had the spice of sleep, as I actually found her body to be really soft and comforting. Good for you, OP. I had never felt so relaxed cuddling with someone before I met her.
Aww.
We've been dating for 2 years now, and I absolutely love her. She's my everything, and I have even been thinking of proposing as soon as we're both done with school. Everything was perfect until last month. Last month, we hosted a small get-together just for a few friends who are also in relationships, like a couple's game night sort of thing. It was here where Josh, who has been my good friend for years now, was pretty wasted and made a joke about how if he had never forced me to take one for the team back then, I would have never found the love of my life. The joke didn't really register to me as anything negative, and I was also wasted, so I just laughed it off. Megan was cuddled up next to me on the couch, though, and asked what Josh meant by that. I told her nothing, but Josh, being the wasted idiot that he was, elaborated and told her the story about how we met through my perspective at the time. Megan just said, "Oh," and didn't really react, so I figured she had just brushed it off. Oh, no. No. That was the wrong assumption.
Poor Megan.
You needed to damage control that immediately. However, the rest of the night, she seemed kind of distant and even a little sad. Finally, once everyone had left, she let it all out and started crying.
Aww.
She was essentially in shock because this whole time, she thought I approached her then because I was interested in her, and learning it was because I was forced to seemed to bring back old insecurities within her.
Aww.
It doesn't help that she's actually gained weight since back then, even though I don't really have any problem with that and have told her that multiple times. I immediately gave her the full story about how I fell for her right after that, and I have loved and adored her ever since. She seemed reassured, and we even cuddled the whole night after that. Since that night, though, she's been acting differently. It's like she's lost her confidence around me. She only wears large, baggy clothing, even though she used to never do that before. She refuses to change with me in the room and hardly eats in front of me.
Oh my gosh. This girl. I feel so bad.
Brother, you need to do more damage control.
You gotta do a lot. She's hurt, man.
You need to get, like, unbelievably vulnerable with her if you want this to go back to normal.
Yeah. This all could have been better with just a different choice of words. Using the word forced, like I forced him to talk to her, not a good choice. Not a good choice. It could have just been like, yeah, he was helping me out and like, you know, talk to her friend. OP was like, oh, you're gonna make me talk to this like overweight person, which wasn't even true about her, first of all. And then also like, not a bad thing, and not even what he was thinking. So
damage control, buddy, damage control. Before, I used to playfully tickle her stomach sometimes, and she'd always smile and play along. Now she seems insecure when I so much as accidentally graze it. She also refuses to have spicy sleep without a shirt on. So far, I sat her down multiple times and explained that her body is incredibly attractive to me, and there's no one more beautiful in my eyes than her, but it's like she doesn't believe me. Lately, I've been thinking about offering her to come to the gym with me, but I'm scared she may be more insecure at that suggestion. Yeah, that's the wrong kind of damage control. How do I get her to believe that I love her no matter what she looks like? That I truly adore her in all aspects? I just want her to be confident in herself again. And there's an update. You know, I don't know what I would say other than I know what I would do, and I would just try to be funny. But that's just me.
yeah.
I've been in that situation, actually, now that I think about it, because I was dating somebody and they became convinced I was no longer attracted to them because we had like a pregnancy scare.
Oh, okay.
And I was like super freaked out about doing anything unprotected at all. But she said that people don't have that much anxiety and that it was just a cover for me not liking her. And I was like, what?
Not true.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, because I broke it down. I gave her the root of the issue.
Yeah, I feel like I have to try to explain the situation again. Because again, that choice of words, not great. Saying that he was forced to talk to her and that he was just taking one for the team as if she was so like unapproachable and ugly, you know, like try to explain that again and be like, hey, no, I always thought you were beautiful. Like it was never a thing. It just happened that way. I just wouldn't have, well, maybe not saying that you wouldn't have talked to her if that didn't happen.
No, I think you should. I think you should say that because it's honest. It's real. Just because that's how it happened doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. It's like clearly now he's in love with you and wants to be with you. He didn't then because he just didn't know.
Yeah, he just didn't know how wonderful of a person she was.
Yeah, so in a way, it's almost like a good thing, but it's hard. Hard to convince a partner that you believe something that you believe when they think you don't. Update. First off, I just want to express how grateful I am to everyone who commented. I wasn't expecting to get this many comments, and even though I really didn't reply to many, I certainly read the majority of them. It's only been a day since I made my post, so I don't really have any real updates, but I just wanted to clarify a couple things. A lot of comments seem to have the idea that me and my friends have secretly been making fun of Megan behind her back for years, and I can assure that is not the case at all. I love Megan, and I would never intentionally make a hurtful joke at her expense, nor would I let any of my friends. At the time, I believed the joke Josh made to be at my expense, not Megan's. Sort of like making fun of me for not opening my horizons. I see now how hurtful it came across, but trust me, I would not have laughed it off had I known that back then. It was also essentially the first time I had really even thought about the circumstances surrounding our first meeting in a long time. There's also been a lot of misconceptions about the story I told in my post versus how Josh and I told it to Megan on that night. First, I'd like to reiterate again that both me and him were pretty wasted and that even Megan was tipsy at that time. Josh basically told her that I was helping him out by talking to her that night we met, which I know is still an awful way of putting it, believe me. I know. I later elaborated and said I was just playing wingman at first because I didn't see how amazing she truly was until our first date. Keep in mind, however, that I was still wasted during this elaboration. I mean,
we gotta have more conversations where we're sober about this.
Yeah. In hindsight, when first typing this post, I should not have used the words pretty or heavier, but I wasn't really putting too much thought into it as I knew it was a long story. But trust me when I say I did not put it that way to Megan. I know either way I screwed up by telling her about it, but as I said in a previous comment, I kind of panicked out of fear that she may take it in a worse manner. A lot of you seem to think I am some sort of predatory D-bag who objectifies my own girlfriend, and I want to cut that interpretation off immediately. I love this woman. I truly believe I want to spend the rest of my life with her. I want her to feel comfortable and sexy around me. The only reason I talked so much about how beautiful I find her body is because her body and how I view it is what seems to be the source of her insecurities right now. I genuinely find it appalling that some people in the comments have this idea that think I'm doing a service or something because I'm with a bigger girl. I love her truly and wholeheartedly. And by the way, you can truly and wholeheartedly listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime. Just do that.
So easy.
And you can listen to over 2,000 episodes.
So many.
Wow. But we have just a little bit more story here.
I'm glad that he's elaborating a bit more. I feel like you were saying earlier, it's hard to convince someone that you believe something when they are convinced that you don't. Because with this kind of thing, it's like you just have to take my word for it. If you say that you're attracted to someone, but they believe that you don't, they're just going to believe that you're lying, you know?
Anyways, those are just some clarifications I wanted to make clear based on the comments I've been seeing. Again, I want to thank everyone who responded with practical, genuine advice. As many of you stated, this is something I have to work on slowly over time. So I don't think I'll be updating this anytime soon. However, I am considering bringing up the possibility of seeing a couples counselor or therapist, as I believe she needs to stop ignoring the issue and be fully open about it. I'm just scared that she may have an anxiety attack or something if I do, because as I mentioned in some comments, she's very anxious when it comes to addressing relationship issues. I might update if we do end up doing that though. Thank you, everyone. And that is the end of that story. If she really can't believe that you care about her, let's figure out couples counseling.
If she has had insecurities about this before and she's retreating to these things of like wearing baggy clothes and like not eating that much in front of you, it's like those are some actions that are like attached to some deeply rooted insecurities and traumas or something. So just therapy in general would be great for sure.
Indeed. But that is the end of that story.
My boyfriend lied to me about his past. I can't trust him anymore.
Hey, liar, liar, pants on fire.
I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend Ethan, 28 male, for almost a year now. Prior to him confiding in me this hideous secret, our relationship was lovely. We talked about what bothered us if something ever came up. We spent time together and enjoyed each other's company, and we tended to support each other the best we could. I've been happy, really happy, and the peace in my life has helped me grow as a person. By the way, this comes from Fairy0001, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, background. We met through an, at the time, mutual friend, Tammy, 24 female. Tammy has been married for years to Ethan's buddy, but her marriage is not happy. She has engaged in affairs that her husband miraculously was able to forgive and forget. After a few years of turbulent and drama-filled friendship with Tammy, I decided that she was too much. I didn't want someone like her in my life, so I ended the friendship.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Ever since, Tammy has been on a smear campaign. Because I no longer like her or agree with her, I'm a bigot. I'm discriminatory. I'm all the awful things in the world, etc. Basically, the woman hates me and will talk crap about me at any turn. This became a problem when Ethan and I got together because she's always held a fascination with him. So I told him that eventually I'd like it if he stopped talking to her. Because Ethan has told me several times that he doesn't like Tammy, I didn't think it to be an issue and let him do it at his own pace. I only needed to know one thing: if they had a history together, to potentially explain Tammy's obsession with him. Ethan said no, nothing, and I believed him. Well, he lied.
Dang it.
Man. And 2 years ago, after one of Tammy's affairs, while Tammy was married and he was single, she approached him while he was wasted and they did things. Specifically, oral spicy sleep.
They did things, specifically of the mouth.
Ethan clearly regrets this and struggles with the moral failing, so I'm trying not to be hard on him, but I'm devastated. He lied to me, He hid this from me, and all because he knew and has admitted that he thought I would either leave him or never want to touch him again. I'm trying to forgive him and move past it, but when I told him definitively that he could never be around Tammy again, he fought me on it. He was terrified that Tammy would tell their mutual friends out of a retaliation, ruining his reputation. He said that I seemed like I couldn't trust him, and he blamed me, saying that he stood to lose a lot by cutting her out, and that if he did, I wasn't allowed to F him over. He made me swear to him that I wouldn't F him over. Honestly, I'm angry. I'm hurt. He prioritized his pride and reputation over our relationship and my broken trust. Recently, I've been so busy that I haven't seen him much, and he is now claiming that I'm not putting effort in, and it's something that he would dump me over. I almost told him to do it. I was so stunned that he came after me like that. I don't really know how to forgive him, and if anyone has any advice, this is my first long-term relationship, and it was so lovely. I don't want it ruined because of her. I would appreciate it. Thank you. And there is an edit, but I want to hear your comments first. What's your advice for this woman?
I think the biggest deal here isn't even that it was like he lied about that girl. It's that his reasoning for why he lied was, well, I lied to you because I was afraid if I told you the truth that you would leave me or you wouldn't want anything to do with me. So I just was never going to tell you. And like, that's just a selfish lie. So he's willing to lie to keep the relationship afloat. He should just leave. Unless he can admit that that's what he did. Like, if he doesn't have the emotional maturity to be like, yeah, I was lying because I'm afraid that I'll lose you, but that isn't a good reason to lie. You have to be honest and like, yeah, sometimes you lose people because of reality, but like, you can't trust a liar.
Right. And then at the same time, it's like, okay, if you were so scared of losing her, then like, why are you threatening to leave because she is now uncomfortable with the situation that you tried to hide from her? You know, like you were scared of her leaving, but now you're doing that.
Doesn't pass the logic test. And so he's probably just saying that because he's like, oh, I just love you so much. Oh, I care about you so much. I just couldn't tell you because I was so scared.
I was so scared. Oh, poor me for being in this situation, even though you put yourself there. But there is an edit. You are all entirely right. And I knew it. I think I just didn't want to admit it. It's over. It's been over, and I'm going to have to tell him that. Thank you all for your kind words and support. I needed to hear it. And we do have an update as well.
Let's go.
So, June 13th, I break up with Ethan on a phone call.
Oh, snap.
Oh, yeah. I state the initial lie, plus his attempts at making me look like the bad guy and shove the blame on me when I found out. That showed me that he would always put himself and his image before me. Ethan was completely calm on the phone and treated our breakup like an exit interview. So he said, okay, so what are the next steps, etc.
Yeah, am I going to collect my pension? What's going on?
The next steps are me walking out the door.
Do I get my hoodie back or like...
Less than an hour later, he calls me, sobbing, begging for me to come back. I refuse. I also told him that if I catch him telling our mutual friends any lies about our breakup, for example, shoving the blame onto me, I will tell them the truth. He cries and continues to beg for me back. Eventually, I hang up on him. Now, June 14th.
The next day.
Ethan calls again and sobs hysterically. He continues to beg for me to come back, which, again, I refuse. I ask several times, are you thinking of what I want or what you want? And he always answers, I'm thinking of you. To which I respond, then respect my decision. I can't be with you. This goes on for an hour. Eventually, I tell him to mail me my stuff and leave me alone unless I reach out to him. He agrees. Later that night, though, Ethan texts me asking if he can just drive down and leave my belongings on my porch. I agree, but restate that I don't want to see him. I give him a date and time to show up, June 18th, around 5. And that he agrees to. Now, June 16th, I start a new job. I get off my first shift at around 8:30 and see a missed call from my roommate. When I call her back, she tells me that Ethan showed up. He only had a couple of my things that he owes me, and he was a blubbering mess. He came into the living room and cried to my roommate about how much he loved me and needed me. My roommate didn't know what to do. She just kept telling him that I'm not there, which I wasn't. I was at work.
This guy, maybe his heart's broken, but it's like, I feel like he's trying to like gain a character witness by like being so upset to the roommate.
Yeah, right?
But instead, she's just going like, hey, you know I'm not your ex-girlfriend, right?
She's not here. I don't know what to tell you.
She's like, not here, go away.
So desperate. Ethan then uses the bathroom for a long time, which we think he was listening for me on the other side of the wall, as my bedroom shared one with the bathroom. Ethan then gave my roommate cards with handwritten notes for myself and each of my friends. The notes were appalling. Cringy, flowery nonsense about how he'll wait for me forever and I'm the only one for him. I call him after I learn this and blow up, stating he knew that I didn't want to see him and I have had enough of him violating my boundaries. I again tell him to show up June 18th and make it clear that I will not be at the house. Just drop off the stuff and leave. Ethan agrees.
You know what's crazy?
What's crazy?
Is that he's still being selfish by writing that, by being like, yes, and also I'm so deeply in love with you that you're the only one for me in my whole life. Like, he's making this like really this main character like tragedy story for him to live in, which is not real. If it was real, you would have been like, yeah, I did hook up with that girl. Like, you wouldn't have lied to her.
You would have gone about it in like a good, healthy, honest way. But here we are. None of that. Just like the definition of love bombing right now.
You don't lie to the people that you claim to have these kind of feelings for.
Exactly. So now, June 18th rolls around. He drops off some, not all of my stuff, plus a ridiculously expensive glass ornament with another cringe note attached. I'm disgusted. Ethan texts asking if I got my gift, and again, I tell him that I do not want to hear from him. I draw boundaries again, and he agrees to them. Around this time, I learn from a mutual friend that Ethan is so miserable and broken that he enters therapy. Well, that's good, but I feel like he will lie in therapy.
Probably, yeah. You can't lie to your therapist because then you're not getting work done that's based on reality.
He's gonna like go to therapy to try to learn how to manipulate even better. July is quiet, thank God. I start to think that Ethan is respecting me in my space. I give up on any of my remaining items that I know are Ethan's because I don't want them anymore. I want peace and quiet. August 27th now. I end my first week of student teaching and come home to find a box on my porch from Ethan. I am instantly in a bad mood. I open the box to find old shoes that I'm not sure were mine, an open box of tampons, yes, tampons, hair scrunchies that he bought for me, and a sticker sheet from Pit Viper. I dearly wish I was kidding.
What a catch.
Again, there's a long note attached about how much he misses me, hopes I'm doing well, and how he'll wait forever. I'm pissed off. I take time to cool down and eventually text him stating that I received his gift, but am frustrated with his repeated boundary violations. I make it clear that I'm never coming back and want nothing to do with him. And Ethan explodes.
Oh no! What a mess!
He sends a long text back about how I don't deserve him because I'm unforgiving. His therapist thinks I'm a monster and I'll never get another great guy like him. It reads like a teenager lashing out at their first ex. It was so cringeworthy and sad. This time, for the first time in the breakup, I drop myself down to Ethan's level and say that I hope he continues healing and that my new boyfriend is better than him in bed, which is true, lol.
Get absolutely slam dunked.
I block his number and go on with my life. By the way, you can go on with your life listening to us with more full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime.
That's right.
Don't go another second without us in your ears. There is a little bit more to the story, but I want to hear your final thoughts before we go on.
Like, sure, that was pretty satisfying getting that. The slam dunk. You tried your best not to slam dunk him, but he just kept on asking for it, so you went ahead and gave it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, block, move on.
I still get periodic unwanted updates from mutual friends about how Ethan still isn't back to normal. Many are mad at me for breaking him.
How is that in any way your responsibility?
Literally, it's not at all.
How dare you break up with this guy? How dare you?
I'm just glad to be free of that nightmare. You never know someone until they show you, and I'm so glad that I ran. If I had stayed and married him like he wanted, he would have eventually mistreated me, and I know it. Thanks, Reddit, for helping me make up my mind. And that's the end of that story.
Yes.
Go you, OP. Maybe get some better friends, honestly.
Yeah, and like, whoever's updating you on Ethan, just be like, stop.
She did tell Ethan, like, hey, if you keep lying to them, then, like, I'm gonna expose you. And it seems like he's lying to them, so go off, OP.
My brother's fiance has cut off our family, but she never said anything in person.
Me not saying anything.
My younger brother and I were super close growing up, but we've drifted over the years. He's always been outgoing and well-liked, though also stubborn and firm in his beliefs. He started dating his now fiance, Ursula, in 2016 when they were 15 and 16. They are now engaged and have a 2-year-old son, and they live at the bottom of the sea. By the way, this comes from Time Mouse, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So Ursula has always been polite but distant with our family. During the vid, she moved into my parents' home, and shortly after, became pregnant. They didn't pay rent while living there and used 2 of my parents' cars. When their baby was 6 months old, they moved in with her family, where they now help care for her younger siblings and support the household. After they moved, Ursula claimed my mom was verbally and emotionally harmful. My mom is blunt and not the most tactful, but she's not someone who goes out of her way to be cruel. Some of Ursula's examples include my mom saying the baby looked like my brother, which she took it as an insult, or suggesting Ursula consider staying home with the baby while my brother provided financially. My mom later followed up just asking what her long-term plans were, not to judge, but just to stay informed. Ursula took that as criticism too. Before the baby's first birthday, Ursula confronted my mom, explaining how hurt she felt. My mom apologized and tried to clarify, but Ursula told others the apology was insincere and that my mom was gaslighting her by framing Ursula as the problem. Then, for the baby's first birthday, Ursula didn't invite our parents or tell anyone in our family when or where it was until the day of, when it rained and they asked if they could have it at my parents' house. My parents agreed, pulled it together last minute, and hosted all of Ursula's extended family, while ours was mostly excluded. For the following year, they skipped every family holiday and get-together, always citing illnesses or emergencies. They would sometimes visit my parents' home only when they knew no one else would be there. My husband and I have 2 kids close in age to my nephew. We planned a wedding in December of 2024 after 4 years of marriage. In the lead up, I tried reaching out to my brother to reconnect, especially for the holidays and his son's 2nd birthday. He brushed me off and said I should make plans with Ursula. The thing is, she had messaged me and my mom a couple of months before, and we both responded with possible dates. She deleted our replies and told our brother we never answered. When I showed my brother the proof, he seemed surprised and he said he talked to her. Right before our rehearsal dinner, she sent me a long message claiming she hadn't gotten our text and rehearsing all the old accusations against my mom. I told her I was busy with the wedding and we would talk later. She didn't show up to the rehearsal dinner, and the next day she came to the bridal suite only to get her hair done, with my brother supervising. Barely said anything and didn't stay to get ready with us. And then they were late to the ceremony. Their son wore red Crocs and a dirty shirt. They left the reception early and later accused me and my husband of ignoring her and claimed the whole family gave her the cold shoulder at the wedding of 100+ people. 2 days later, they had a birthday party for their son, but didn't invite any of our family. Ursula sent a copy-paste version of her message to my older sister, again listing all the past accusations. My sister responded calmly and factually, disproving many of her claims, including that my mom and Ursula had hugged and chat at the reception. Every time my sister made a valid point, Ursula deflected, changed the topic, and eventually just blocked her. The next day, she sent a similar message to me on Christmas. I responded with kindness, saying we loved her and wanted to reconnect. I asked that we stop excluding my parents. She doubled down, and she said she's never been accepted by her family and said she regretted ever entering our lives. I reminded her that she and my mom had already talked things over a year ago and haven't interacted since. But she kept saying my mom wasn't sincere. She then sent a final long message to my mom, accusing her of spreading lies and rumors. For context, my mom has made no effort to talk about or even mention Ursula since their last conversation. After that, Ursula blocked all of us on social media, left our family group chat, and had my brother leave it too. I've created new chats and tried texting my brother, He doesn't respond. We haven't seen them since the wedding. Okay, pause.
Talk to me.
At what point do you just like give up? Because I feel like there's like this pendulum effect of like sons always listening to the mom and just giving in to the mom whenever they want. And then you got the other side of that is like they just listen to the wife and do whatever the wife wants. And you need to stay in the middle, be honed down by gravity and grounded. You stay there. But I feel like I haven't really seen it on the wife's side where the wife calls all the shots.
Really? I've seen,
Maybe not
I can't
in a
remember
while.
one off the top of my, like a specific one off the top of my head, but I feel like we've definitely seen one where the wife is just like running it. And it's like, nope, this is what we're doing. And everything runs through me. And there's no, what I say goes. What I say is law.
Yeah. What is she getting? What is she gaining?
She gets to say that everyone is wronging her and do things her way and isolate
Yes.
brother from the family.
That's what. Okay. I was like, that's the word I was looking for. Isolate.
Isolate.
My family visits every other month, and I always try to reach out when we're in town. Nothing. No response. No effort. I want to understand what's going on and how to move forward. I love my brother and want to be a part of my nephew's life. I don't hate Ursula, and I've never been unkind to her, but everything is always twisted into an attack, and I feel stuck, and I'm at a loss. Also worth noting, all of Ursula's complaints and confrontations happen only through long text messages. She's never once brought this up in person. In real life, she's always quiet and reserved. So quick backstory. I've mentioned my sister before, the one who got blocked after trying to help sort out some family drama. Let's call her Beth. She ended up having a conversation with my brother, Joseph, and Ursula, another family member involved in all of this. Beth didn't know Ursula was going to be there, so she waited until we walked into the room. When she did, Beth greeted her with a simple hi, and Ursula immediately snapped back with, I don't want to talk to you, and you shouldn't be here.
Okay.
Beth pushed back, saying she had every right to be here since she was given a key. Then Ursula threw out 2 accusations, one from 8 years ago.
Oh.
Yes, 8 years ago, and another that has already been proven false. Here's the wild part. Both Joseph and Ursula know second accusation is complete BS. It has been debunked. And Beth had nothing to do with it. But Ursula still tried to spin it as if somehow it would make sense that the lie came from Beth, even though it has been fully cleared up. Total mental gymnastics. The convo obviously went nowhere and Beth left. A few hours later, Ursula started messaging Beth, saying she wasn't being genuine and didn't apologize. Beth didn't engage, especially since she was the one who only showed up to try and clear the air and move forward. But Ursula kept blowing up her phone, demanding an apology over and over again. Later that night, Joseph talked to our other brother, let's call him Brian, and told him that both he and Ursula felt cornered by Beth showing up unannounced. During their convo, it became clear that Joseph was seriously exaggerating what went down. He claimed Ursula was attacked and belittled, and also said he explained to Beth why she needed to apologize. Except he didn't. Brian asked more questions and realized Joseph never actually told Beth why she was supposedly in the wrong and just gave a vague recap of past events.
Perfect. That'll do it. That's all we need.
That's all we need. And
Don't explain.
Don't explain. And we won't explain why it's the end of this story. But you can follow more stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform. Just search up OK Storytime. And where do you go, John?
Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or your favorite podcast app.
And there will be a recollections of other past events or stories for you to hear. So now all of this is being relayed back to Beth so she can decide what to do next. Ursula's still expecting an apology for how she felt treated back in December. And look, I get it that people are allowed to feel that way they feel, but if there's going to be an apology, it should come from a place of honesty and personal reflection, not guilt tripping or emotional manipulation, just to glue the family back together. And we got one comment here. Opie clarifies the details on her sister Beth having a key. For clarity, the whole conversation between Beth, Joseph, and Ursula happened at our aunt's LLC. Beth has been working as an assistant doing what our aunt doesn't have time for. Just has started working there to sort out clerical side of things. Let it go. Let your brother know you're there if he chooses to reach out, and then don't stop. Don't contact them. Don't try to mediate or intervene. Your brother is a grown man, and he's choosing to support his partner. So let him go until he grows up and reaches out. Opie says, I came to Reddit because the siblings are split on how to handle this. I would like to go to the route of the holiday and more important messages, while Beth would like to cut them off entirely. especially after Ursula trying to force an apology from her. Joseph and Brian were in regular contact as Brian isn't trying to ruffle any feathers to stay close enough to our nephew. We all just wanted a little insight to see how much longer we'd have to endure the distance. And yeah, Opie doesn't reply to anything else. That's the end of that story.
Guys, call King Triton. He will get the job done, and that is it.
That's it, yeah.
That's all I want to hear.